Hey everybody, it's Marie here again, and I am so excited to share with you today some Spellbinders stamps and dies. Now, they sent me a few things to play with, and I was just so excited to get these. These are a few sets that were designed by Debi, and they also sent me some of these platinum packs. Now, these are pretty cool surfaces. They have some balsa wood, some corrugated cardstock. They also have some adhesive sheets. And they sent me a pack that has burlap and canvas in it. And these are just some different surfaces that you are able to die cut with. And I'm going to be using those probably at a later time, because today I'm just going to be focusing on one of these stamp sets here. So I'm going to be using this one, this shaker stamp set. And when I saw it, I thought, of course, it would be perfect for a shaker card. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So I took the little salt shaker or pepper shaker, however you want to use it, and I put it in my MISTI to go ahead and stamp it. Now I'm stamping it on some watercolor paper because I'm going to be using my zigs, and I really like coloring with my zigs on watercolor paper, because if you color with them and then you add some water to them, the watercolor paper is going to hold up really well. So you may have noticed I took my foam out of the back of my MISTI because this is a cling stamp and it's already got some foam on it. So you want a little bit of that extra room when you're stamping. And I'm using my Brutus Monroe Raven Black ink because it holds up really well with any kind of medium. You can use it with alcohol markers, you can use it with the zigs, colored pencils, anything. So just make sure after you stamp it, you dry it with your heat tool or let it dry naturally, air dry for a little while before you go ahead and color on it. And once it's dry, it's permanent, so it's not going to smear. Now I'm just taking some of my zigs. I'm taking some light grays and bluish grays, and I'm adding in a little shading here. And then I'm adding in some water using my water brush. I'm just adding a little bit of water to this color and blending it out. And then I'm going to go back in with some darker grays and add a little bit more shading to my image here. Zigs are so easy to use and they give some great results, and I'd really encourage you to play around with them and get familiar with them because they've become one of my favorite coloring mediums. So just blending out all of these areas here. It's a smaller image, so it doesn't take incredibly long to color, but I just wanted to make sure I got some nice shading. And I'm using mostly blues and grays. Now I'm drying it and moving on. I'm using one of these dies, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of the purple tape to my dies. I really like this purple tape. At Creativation, everyone was saying purple is the new blue. So this tape, it's low tack. It's kind of like a washi tape, but it holds your dies in place really well, and then it peels off without leaving any sticky residue, or it does not peel up your paper and rip your paper like sometimes washi tape will do. So I really like this purple tape. I'd advise you or encourage you to go check it out. It works really well. I also cut the shadow part of the dice for the background out of a little bit of vellum. I thought that just added a little bit of something to the background. Now moving on, I have a lot of my other pieces already assembled here. I did this off camera because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So I played around a little bit until I figured it out and I turned the camera back on. So what I did is I just cut a square out of a piece of cardstock that will fit onto my card base. I cut a glitter stock frame that will go inside my square, and I'm going to be using that foil. It's a foil negative. So when you foil, you peel off the paper, you have the beautiful foil on your cardstock, and you're left with the negatives. So I thought this would be a clever way to use those negatives by using it as the window on a shaker card. So you still have this gorgeous design, but it's clear and it's see-through, and you can still see the shaker bits inside your shaker card. So I think that's a really great way to use those negatives if you like to do a lot of foiling. So I'm stamping this sentiment on the bottom of my cardstock. Again, using my MISTI. My foam pad on the back of my MISTI is still removed, so I can use it with the cling stamps. And I'm also just using my Brutus Monroe Raven ink again. And I like to stamp this ink several times. I usually stamp about 3 times because I really like a nice, crisp, dark image and sentiment. And when you're using your MISTI, you might as well do several stamps. Stamp it several times to get a really great impression. So that's what I did here. After I took it out of my MISTI, I dried it, And now I'm just going to be adding some tape adhesive to the back of my card. I'm just using some cheap off-brand adhesive because I'm too lazy to refill my ATG right now, but it works really well. It's really super sticky. And I have to tell you, this card kind of gave me a run for my money. Everything that went wrong, that could go wrong with this card, pretty much did. So as you're seeing here, I'm laying it on top of my foil piece, and this is actually the second time I've done this. The first time I got it stuck on there and I tried to take it off, and I totally ripped the front of my card. So this is actually a totally new card front than you just saw. I had to redo it all over. So that was one of the first things that went wrong. But I added my foil piece on, and I'm just trimming around the edges, and I think it just makes such a gorgeous window for a shaker card. So I'm going to be remembering this little tip in the future and probably using this again to make more shaker cards. So I just trimmed off the excess there, and now I'm moving on. When you're building a shaker card, you then want to put some adhesive all around the outside to keep your little shaker bits inside. I'm just trimming off a little bit more of this foil because there was a little bit sticking out of the sides. So I just wanted to make it sure it was a clean edge. So now I'm flipping it over. I'm going to be adding my foam adhesive around the frame, around the square, so that it will hold all of my little bits inside. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have all of your foam pieces touching. You don't want any gaps because then your little shaker sequins and beads and glitter, they will fall out. So you want to make sure all of your foam pieces are touching. You want to keep them close together. And I am just taking some of my foam adhesive and cutting it into thin strips so it will fit around the frame and you won't see it from the front. So now I have all my foam pieces down, and I'm just going to fill my window with my shaker bits. Now I'm using some of these Nuvo, I think they're diamond sequins. I picked these up at Creativation this year, and I really love them because they kind of pick up on any color you're using. After that, you want to go ahead and pull off the backing, and I kind of edited it out, but when you're pulling off the backing, be careful that your paper doesn't kind of jump, because that happened to me and sequins went flying everywhere and I had to clean them up. So I edited that out for you, but that was another thing that kind of went wrong. And the next thing here is when I adhered my card base down to my shaker card, I then realized that I adhered it down backwards. So you'll see here in a minute that my card opens from the wrong side. And at this point I was thinking, forget it, I'm just going to leave it. There's a few things you can do if you do this. You can cut it off and mount it on another card base, or you can do what I'm going to do and just send it to a family member who's going to like that they got a card from you and not really care which side it opens. So that was my little solution to this little mistake. Anyway, moving on, I'm adding my little glitter stock frame into my square using a little bit of Brutus Monroe craft glue. Just putting a little bit of glue on all the little edges. I'm not doing a whole lot because I don't want it to squish out and get all over my window, but just a little bit around the edges, and then I'm going to nestle that into my square here. And I really like how the silver sparkly glittery cardstock kind of picks up on that window. Next, I'm taking my little shaker images, adding some foam adhesive, and I'm going to stick those to the front. Now I did go ahead and I stamped out another shaker and I colored that, and I added some little cheeks to one, and I'm going to be adding a bow to one, so it kind of looks like a little girl and guy salt shakers. I thought it was really cute. So I put some adhesive on there, and I'm going to add them to the front of my card, and then they're going to kind of finish off the card. So if you like this, please go ahead and check out the Spellbinders dies and stamps. I thought this was a really cute set. My blog has some more links and information and photos if you're interested in that. Otherwise, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, like, and share. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be trying to jump into doing more videos again in the future. I kind of took a little break because my family moved across country and it was crazy for a while, but we're getting back into it and getting settled. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I can hear a little bit of feedback from you. If you ever mess up a card, how do you fix it? Do you just start over? Do you kind of try to do a little bit of card surgery? I guess with this one it took me a while to finish, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. And so I don't know. I mean, there's some days where you can just craft and it just comes together really quickly, and some days I just have problems making a card, and I'm sure all of you probably understand that. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it gave you some fun ideas. I think the foil for the window of the shaker card is really fun, and I'll be using that again in the future. So thank you so much for watching and stopping by, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.